This one concept almost killed my SMA. What I'm doing with this video is teaching it to you almost like I'd be teaching it to my younger self so I didn't make this mistake. And if you don't know me, I've scaled my NC to 40 grand a month this year. I've gone through many lessons during that journey, and this is one of the key concepts that runs through all of it. And what I'm going to explain to you today is how you can progressively scale your business and not make stupid decisions like I did. So let's get into it. The concept we're going to talk about here is called regression to the mean. So this is a statistical concept that talks about anything that goes on is going to resort to an average over time. So think about this graph right here. This is the oscillating line where it's like you doing your outreach. You get 5 meetings in one day. The next day you get 1. The next day you get 6. The next meeting you get 3. And a lot of people have an issue where their emotional management is not in check. And this is the exact issue I had. In the beginning, I would look at my cold call bookings for the day. I would look at my sales calls for the day and go, okay, why is this such a bad week? What am I doing wrong? What is going wrong in my business? And what I didn't realize, everything resorts to the average. So what can happen is you get 1 booking one day, 1 the next, 2 the next, 1 the next, 1 the next, and then you get 8 the next day. But guess what? An average is going to go across that whole week, and that is your actual number. But the thing that statistics does is that it'll give you some weird numbers, like 7 in a day, then 1 in a day. And whenever you hit that 7 a day, you're going to go like, oh my God, everything's amazing. And you overreact, and you want to change stuff. You want to keep doing what you're doing. But then you hit a day where it's like 1 booking a day, 1 booking a day, and you want to change your strategy again. The whole concept here is you have to take a sufficient amount of data. What do I mean by that? So if you're looking at this graph and you went, I'm going to make a measurement for right here. Let's say this is 7 days. You are going to have such skewed data because you took data from 7 days instead of something like 21 days. So if you were to take the data from these 21 days, look at this. You're going to have triple the data if you were for 1 day. And a lot of people get into the habit of taking the data from this small section and going, oh my God, I need to change something. What am I doing? Change outreach. I'm going to change my service delivery, right? And these are all things people do. They don't look at the data over time. They just take one subsect of the data and make their assumption. And when I was in the beginning, this is exactly what I did. I was trying to change my strategy every few days because of the results from 3 days of sales calls instead of 3 weeks of sales calls. And if you don't understand how damn important this is, when you take data from 3 days, the regression to the mean is going to kick in where you get tons of bookings those days. And you're like, I'm so happy, I'm amazing. The next 3 days are going to be, what the hell is going on? So as soon as you understand this, you actually understand how to make amazing decisions instead of just making it off of this really weird piece of data that is going to average out over time. You look at the small anomaly and go, that's my new data. And then you look at the big picture and go, okay, it's just an average. And when you actually get affected by regression to the mean, it's going to look something like this. Your emotional volatility is all over the damn place. When you're up here, you're on top of the world. You want to start traveling. You want to spend all your money. You're going to hit this month over and over and over. Then the next month is down here. And you're like, what the F is happening? I don't know what's going on. Is my business crumbling? You want to quit. And you know what happens is everybody quits down here because they're in this period where they have this slump of regression to the mean where they're actually looking at this month instead of last month, and they realize if they just average it out, they would still have a linear path. They would still be growing their business. But they look at this weird subsect of data and go, oh, I'm going to quit. Then they go through the same thing here. They go through the same thing here, same thing here. A personal example with this is I just hired a closer in my agency, and I hired him and he didn't close for a week straight. He had the perfect training. He was going through the perfect script I gave him. I trained him well, and I knew from his calls he's doing something right. I completely had faith in him. He didn't get closed for 7 days. That week, I was an absolute wreck because I think this closer is not going to make money and something is going wrong. I don't know what's going wrong. And guess what? The last day of the week, he gets 3 PIFs. This is what happens with your agency all of the time. Things are not expected. They will not go the right way for 6 days and have 1 day of the week that just skyrockets in revenue. But if you were just looking at those 6 days, you would go, I want to quit. I want to fire this closer. I want to make a decision that is not off sufficient data. So what is the lesson here out of all of this? Why does this matter, Joe? What the hell are you talking about? When you look here instead of here, your data is all messed up. Your mind is all messed up. Your business is all messed up. When you expand it to 30 days of data instead of 7, your data averages out. And when you think you were doing bad, things can go very, very well, but you're just experiencing a low out of all of this data. Look at the big picture. And a lot of people, let's say cold calling, right? They want to make decisions off of 3 days of cold calling, or even worse, they make 10 cold calls and you get 2 instances of bad feedback and you want to change the whole script. When if you just did 100 more, you would get way more good feedback. You get a few bookings. You would only have a few negative responses. But people want to make decisions off of 10 cold calls and not 100. And I don't even think 100's enough personally. I would make decisions off of 500 to 1,000. Normally, when you're making good decisions, you need more data. When people are training a large language model like ChatGPT here, they're going to be training it off of trillions of data. What if they just trained a large language model like GPT off of a conversation? It would not be a good large language model. The more data you feed it, the better it's going to get. This is the exact same thing. When you're making decisions off of sales calls, you're going to make decisions off of 30 sales calls. And this is your offer. This is your messaging. This is your sales script. You're not going to make it off of 2 sales calls and think that's good enough data. Your decisions are going to be absolutely out of whack, and you will not make a proper decision in that case. All right, key takeaways. Results are not linear like this. It is not a straight path. It is going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. This is the 5 days of no results. This is the 2 days of good results. It is not linear whatsoever. In order for you to judge properly in a business from the data you collect, it will be off of a long time horizon, not a short time horizon. Look long term. You have to have delayed gratification and wait for the damn data to come in to collect the proper data. Do not make decisions quickly and act emotionally. This is why emotional volatility is not good in business. Usually the people who are best in business are very calculated decision makers. Look at Warren Buffett. Look at all of these guys at the top. They can have massive losses and still bounce back because they are so used to it. They are numb to it. You have to get numb and look at it logically and not emotionally. If you are having a period where things are going like this instead of like this, and you are still stuck down here, you might want to think about changing the system. But change the system when you're at the 30-day mark, not the 2-day mark. Make the proper decision and realize that sometimes if you are just going to wait it out, you are going to look at the long time horizon. And if you looked here, you're going to be messed up. If you look up here, you're also going to be messed up. Take the average, make decisions off that. There'll be still some days in my business where I don't get closed as 4 or 5 days and have things go massively upward in those 2 days. But I know that is going to average out. Same with my advertising. Same with my outreach. Same with my sales. Do this in your business. You'll realize that things are not linear. They're all over the place and you have to take the average. So I hope this helped. It's a little more advanced video for you guys, but if you like the video, I have a free group in the description where I do weekly coaching calls. I give you over 10 hours of training. It's completely free. You can join right now. If not, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.